Welcome back to the Shabbos Treasures series. I'm Gila Ross, host of the Power Up podcast, and I'm here together with my co-host,
Rabbi Samuel Ross, and we are delighted to be able to share a weekly idea that you can take into your Shabbos and upgrade and beautify immediately. Enjoy.
The last few weeks we've been dealing with the melacha, where we've been dealing with things getting wet and things getting cleaned, garments. So tonight we're going to deal with one specific element that comes out from it. Hello. One specific element that comes out from it. And that's really what we're going to deal with tonight, which is, can you hang wet clothes to dry on Shabbos? Da-da-da.
You know what they say about laundry? Getting it washed, couple of hours. Getting it dry in the dryer, hang out to usually within 12 hours. Putting it away, about 7 to 10 business days, right? No one can relate, hey? The couch for the laundry.
Stephen, how are you? So, Stephen, very important question we're dealing with tonight is, can you hang out wet clothes to dry on Shabbos?
Depends where you hang them out.
Okay, so let's start thinking about this. What are the options?
You couldn't put them in the garden because you're watering the grass.
Okay, so we're talking about putting it in your, I don't know, in your living room.
I don't think you can.
Guess it depends when you washed it as well, doesn't it?
Oh, so that's a good question. So I guess there's two possibilities. Either you've washed it from before Shabbos, which we'll deal with, or maybe, again, Andrew's case, where you're coming in from the snow or from the rain and your coat is waterlogged, or your skirt or whatever it is. So those are two possibilities, from before Shabbos or on Shabbos. Okay, so we had one guess. Maddie, you said you're pretty sure. You said you're pretty sure that you can, or pretty sure that you can't? Pretty sure that you can't.
I think you can't.
Okay, we're going to have to see whether, based on what Bev said, there's going to be a difference whether it's from before Shabbos or on Shabbos. Okay, so we're going to give you, Rebbitzin over here is going to start by telling you a principle about the status of wet laundry, which will lead us into pretty much the thing that we're going to see this evening.
So wet laundry is usually muktza, unless it became wet while it was being worn. So if, let's say, you're wearing something and a jug of water spills on you, or more commonly you go out and it's pouring of rain, and you get soaking wet, so then it would not be muktza. But even if it's not muktza, you still can't hang it out to dry.
Okay, so before we get into the reason, again, just to get clear, if we go all the way back to the muktza, things that we don't touch or that we don't move. So wet laundry, all things being equal, is going to be muktza, which might give us a hint that we're not going to be drying it out. Now, what would be the problem with drying it out? Well, let's think about this one, Hayden. Let's say you come in my house and you see that I have some wet laundry or wet washing that's hanging out. What might you think?
That you washed it on Shabbos.
That's right. You may think that you washed it on Shabbos, which you can't do. So therefore, you can't put wet washing out. But there is an exception. This is what Bev said. What about if you washed it before Shabbos? You did the washing on Friday, on Thursday, and now can you put it out? So the answer to that question is yes. The answer to that question is, if you washed it before Shabbos, you washed it on Friday. So now you can put it out. You can put it out. It's not a problem. So we're discussing, again, we're more towards Andrew's case of where you have the washing. Oh, not washing, but you come in.
Does it have to have been out of the washing machine? Because obviously you can't touch the washing machine.
So very good question. That's a separate point. We're going to get to the dryer in a second. But even if you took it out of the washing machine or out of the dryer, let's say on Friday, so you're allowed to put that out. But if you're coming in from the rain and everything is wet, you can't put it out to dry. We're going to see that your coat is different. Now, guys, let's think about this one. Why would a coat be different?
Because you need to wear it again.
Okay, but that wouldn't necessarily help. If something's muktza, it's muktza. Why would a coat be different? Because what would you think? Richard, what would you think if you see my coat hanging out? Would you think that maybe I washed it?
No, I think you'd been out in the rain.
Absolutely.
We're
That's
imagining.
absolutely obvious. A coat is
It's almost a given.
It's a given. But anything else, we don't do. Okay. Now, there are a couple of cases when it's okay to put out wet washing, to put out clothes that got wet.
Okay, what would they be, Rabbi?
So either it's not majorly wet beforehand, or if you hang it out unusual way. If you go to someone's house, like sometimes you see it like put on the back of a chair or something like that, that's going to be okay. Because again, it doesn't look like you're just hanging out, to dry it. It just looks slightly strange. But to hang it out in a regular way is the issue. We discussed about a raincoat. A raincoat's always okay. Okay, so now we're going to look at the reason for why wet laundry is muktza.
Why would it be muktza, Rabbi?
Rebbetzin, fill us in.
Okay, so the reason why it's muktza is because I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but sometimes you have a favorite sweater or a favorite item of clothing, or a kid has a favorite item of clothing, and you put it in the laundry and it doesn't come out in time, right? And what you might be is you might be a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous for this item to dry in time, and you might help that process along by wringing it out.
Right? To wring it, right? So therefore, laundry is a problem. The question is, we're actually coming towards the end of this evening session, but the question is, we're saying wet laundry is muktza because you're worried you're going to wring it out. Let's say you would know with certainty that it's going to dry by Shabbos morning. So is it still muktza? So the answer is that as soon as you know that it's going to be absolutely dry, so then you're allowed to touch it.
So just say you did a wash on Friday afternoon and then you put stuff on your radiators to dry. Can you then use it, or if it's dry?
So once you put it out, you've washed it before Shabbos, you put it out Friday afternoon, and you know it's going to become dry Shabbos morning, whatever it is. So then you can touch it once it becomes dry. Okay, the next one's very interesting. Rebbetzin, you want to fill us in about the dryer?
What happens if you have, let's go back to this favorite sweater, or let's just say it's a child's favorite pair of pajamas, or the only pair of pajamas they'll wear, right? And it's in the dryer. It's Friday night. How do I get this kid into his pajamas? How do I get my pajamas out of the dryer?
The kid goes to the dryer and takes them out, or accidentally presses the button.
Okay, so Maddie Maddie, your answer is actually quite complicated, because there's a certain age before which you can do that.
Under three.
Under three.
Yes, but then once the kid gets a bit older, it's a bit more tricky. So let's just say your dryer does not have a light in. If your dryer doesn't have a light, then you'd be able to open the door of the dryer and take that item of clothing out, right? If it doesn't have a button that's electric, I think most dryers you just pull open the door.
Right. But most have a light. But I guess you got the type that doesn't have a light.
Most dryers.
Do they have a light?
I don't think most dryers have a light.
And just think, I touch the dryer a lot. How did I not know that?
I don't know. Yeah. You'd have to check it out before Shabbos. Check it out tonight. See if your dryer has a light in or not. And then you can take it out. The only thing is, interesting fact here is you can't close the door unless it's in the way, because the dryer itself is muktza. So once you've got what you needed, you've got to leave the door unless it's in the way, in which case.
Yeah, a bit of revision, but if you recall,
you couldn't just say, for example, the pajamas were wet inside the dryer, or the dryer wasn't on. You couldn't take the pajamas out and put them on the radiator to dry during Shabbos. Couldn't do that. No. Okay. Yeah.
So should we just quickly review?
Is there anything else?
Sorry. So why can you open the dryer to take it?
Great question. I was hoping someone was going to
close the dryer door to put it back. I appreciate there's a purpose for opening the door, but it just seems strange.
Excellent question. So if you remember when we learned muktza, we saw you can't touch muktza unless you either use it like your feet or something like that, or if you need the thing itself, or if it's in the way. There were two exceptions. Either you need the thing itself, or it's in the way of something else. So here, it's in the way in order that I can get to the thing behind it, which is, or inside it, which is the washing. So it's the rabbis allowed you, muktza is a rabbinic law, they allowed you to touch it when you need the thing, when it's in the way of the thing which is inside it or behind it.
Okay.
So, but excellent question. So we could just quickly review. Washing before Shabbos. I'll do washing before, you'll do washing on Shabbos. If washing was done before Shabbos and hang out, is it muktza?
No.
No, if it's dry.
If it's wet?
Yeah.
Yeah. But can you hang it out before Shabbos?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
excellent. You'll do them on Shabbos. But what about if you come in and your stuff is wet? Can you hang that out?
No, but you could put it on the
Only
back
if it's
of the
your
chair.
coat.
Excellent. Or if it's not like majorly wet.
Or if you do it in an unusual way, like on the back of a chair or something like that.
Okay. Experts in the muktza status of dryers and hanging out wet clothes to dry.
Anyone would think we were used to the rain.
Of a topic. So tonight we've got a couple of questions. But basically, again, we're finishing up the topic. We've been looking at melabin, this the scouring with the water, with cleanliness, the dirt, getting it out with water, without water.
Isn't melabin the
Absolutely.
definition laundry?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different steps of laundry in effect. It's 3 different steps of laundry, absolutely. So
And
what
we
we're
had
gonna-
snow after last week's chat as well.
Right, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
We all knew what to do.
Can we talk
Or
about
not do.
sunshine today?
Yeah. Hot weather.
So-
Yes. We
so-
want to know what to do in the hot weather. How to keep Shabbos in the hot weather, Rabbi, and then hopefully the Shabbos will be beautiful and sunny, and we can put it into practice.
Right.
And he's gone quiet. Hi, Maddie.
Hello.
And hi, Stephen, if he's there.
He is here.
Wonderful. Okay, so tonight's really a short one. So we're dealing with the washing process, whether you clean things with water, without water. So tonight we're going to look at an exception. So let's look at 2 questions. I'll do one, and Rebbe Singila will do one. I'll do the first one. Can you wet a garment with colored wine or drink? Right? Let's say, I don't know, your tablecloth, got wet. Can you now use a purple shirt to clean it up?
No, in case the dye runs.
Interesting. Okay. Other than that issue of maybe the dye running, which will be something we're actually going to look at in a couple of weeks, the idea of dyeing, not dying but dying. Other than that, are there, because again we've seen that normally you can't make things wet on Shabbos. What about if you're using a colored, let's say a colored drink or something like that, or a colored garment? Okay, so we'll have to see. Rebbe, maybe you want to give us the second question of the evening.
I do. So in some places in the world, for example, Manchester, it rains from time to time. Let's just say it rains on Shabbos. Can I go for a walk? Because I know that my clothes are going to get wet.
That's a good one.
Well, can I?
You must be able to, because otherwise you'd never go out.
Right. But the question is why? We've learned over the last few weeks you can't get your garments wet. Why is that okay?
In fairness, the question was, can we? So she did answer it. So you do get a point.
Yes.
Okay, so those are the 2 questions. Can you, the colored garment, the colored liquid, and the walking on Shabbos. Okay, so what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, maybe I'll give the principle, and maybe Rebbe Singila will really fill us in with the context here. But we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the last couple of sessions, that under the malacha of melabin, scouring, one can't remove dirt from a material, even without liquid. Whether it's with liquid, whether it's without liquid, you can't start removing dirt. You can't start making, your garment clean. Okay, fine. The idea is because we're trying to improve the appearance of the garment, right? My fabric on my couch is dirty from my chulent stain. My tablecloth is dirty. My shirt is dirty. Whatever it is, it's dirty. So I'm coming along and I'm trying to clean it, whether it's with water, whether it's without water. That's the problem. Tonight we are going to learn one exception, and then Gila will give us the application. The exception is where the soaking or the wetting has a negative or a spoiling effect on the appearance of the fabric. Up to now, we've seen where it's making it better, but let's say it would make it worse. Well, let's give an example. Let's say you've got dirty water. You would be allowed to soak your fabric, your shirt, with dirty water because it doesn't make it cleaner, but it's going to make it more soiled. So again, from what we've learned tonight is there is an exception to the rule. It's true that you can't make things wet or clean them, but the whole reason was to improve the appearance. But when it's going to make it worse, you're using dirty water, let's say, then the whole thing doesn't apply. It's only to make it better. So Gila, do you want to give us a couple of applications and we'll answer our questions?
So for example, you're allowed to spill a glass of wine on a tablecloth on Shabbat, right? Same thing is, can anyone, I'm going to throw it out to you. I can give you examples, but can anyone think of an example of when you would do this, when it would apply? They need help, Rabbi.
What do you mean when it would apply?
Of a practical example of this.
Right, this idea that when it's going to spoil it, it's okay.
Kids. Kids always spill their drinks and.
Okay.
What about if you're wiping up let's say a colored spill with a clean fabric? Let's say your wine spills on the table and you take a white towel and wipe it up. Would you be able to do that? You're making the towel wet.
Yeah,
What if you've got like a
you're
plastic
dirtying the
cover
towel.
on the top? Oh,
Sorry. Sorry, Hayden, and then Bev.
I was saying because you're then dirtying the towel.
Exactly, because what you're doing is you're ruining. You're not then going to use that towel for something else. You're going to wash that towel because it's what you're doing is actually the opposite of laundering that towel. So then that would be allowed. Sorry, Bev, what were you going to say?
if you've got like a plastic cover over the top of the tablecloth, so really then you're touching plastic and not fabric.
Okay, plastic is an exception anyway, but we're saying even if it's the tablecloth itself, right? But let's say it happens to be something.
Also here, you're using the towel to wipe up the spill on the plastic because you're
right.
If it's
That's a good point.
If it's water, it's one thing, but if it's orange juice or
right, okay, yeah.
Then it's not a problem.
So if it's right, okay. So if the spill is anything but water, then couldn't you argue that whatever you use, you're always going to be
could well be
whatever you've used?
Yeah, you definitely could argue that. So again, so water is the classical thing, but once it starts getting to something dark or dirty, it's not really going to be a problem. And again, we discussed the other question, going for a walk in the rain, right? So again, the whole point there is you're not trying to get it wet, right? The whole problem is you're trying to get it wet because you want to make it better, you want to make it cleaner. I don't want to get the thing wet. I just have no choice. I don't want it wet. I don't care if it's wet. I'm trying to make it better. So if either I don't care that it's getting wet, or if anything, it's hurting the appearance of it, so then that's not a problem.
Thank you for taking the time to listen. Please check the show notes for my current offer of a free one-to-one call and how to book it. And meanwhile, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And share the love with anyone who would benefit. Thank you, have a great day, and happy Hanukkah.